Today's tutorial is going to be the Joker from Suicide Squad. To get that distinctive bright green hair, I've used Kryolan Aquacolor Soft Cream in UV green, but you can always use a paint or a hair chalk, anything that's vibrant and green. So this is really simple to work with. We're simply going to comb it through Billy's hair. This product is a body painting product, so it's safe on the skin, so don't worry if you do get it on your scalp. But ideally, if you can, comb this through the hair as close to the scalp as possible, but try not to get it on the skin. We want it to look like the hair is green from the root and not as though we've painted it. So you guys might recognise Billy from a few of my tutorials. He's got a twin brother called Jack, and they have their own YouTube channel, which I will link in the description bar for you. The Joker from Suicide Squad has no eyebrows, so we need to block Billy's out. I'm going to be using a non-toxic glue, as I know that's more readily available than a wax. I've done lots of blocking out of brows in other tutorials, so I'm just going to whiz through this. First off, you want to go against the grain of the brows, so pull the glue down the hair. Then you want to comb them up like I'm doing now, recoating the front of the brows with the glue. Once you've got them as flat as you can, you then want to powder the brows and then reapply the glue. The idea is that you do this as many times as you can until you can no longer feel the texture of the brows. The powder I'm using is the Vichy Dermablend, but you can use any translucent powder. Now I only did 2 coats onto Billy's brows, but they definitely could have done with another 2, but for timing purposes we just did it twice. For foundation I wanted something quite natural, so I mixed together Face and Body by MAC and Illamasqua Skin Base. The main thing that stands out in a lot of the Joker tutorials that are already on YouTube is that they use a white paint or a white foundation, but if you watch the film or look at still images from the film, you notice that he's actually just super pale. So I wanted it to still look like Billy's skin, but just a really pale version of. So I'm applying that foundation with a Duo Fibre Brush over the entire face, and then going over that with a beauty blender just to soften everything and make sure it's blended well. I'm also going over the eyebrows, also the ears and the neck. To cover the eyebrows, I'm going to be using a high pigment concealer. This is the Photo Illusion Concealer by Manuel Beauty. I'm going to apply 1 coat, seal it with the Vichy Dermablend, then apply a 2nd coat and again seal that in place. This has a slightly pinky undertone to it, so it worked really well on top of the brows. Rather than trying to build up the foundation, the eyebrows would have then started to look a bit too pale against the rest of the skin, whereas this concealer is slightly darker than the foundation, so you end up with the same tone all over the face. Going by the reference images I've got of the Joker, he has quite warm tones very close to his lash line, so I'm going to use this matte finish eyeshadow, which I think is Bitten by Makeup Geek. And although that makes the eyes look kind of sore, that's kind of what we're going for, because we are going to be applying a lot of darker colours on top of this, but having that warm undertone is exactly what we need. It helps to give the illusion that the eyes have got that crazed look to them. Using an angled liner brush, I'm pushing that colour into the lashes and then pulling it up slightly. Then I'm going in with a matte finish mid-tone brown. This one is called Latte by Makeup Geek. I'm taking that colour over the entire eyelid all the way up to the eyebrow, and then concentrating some more of that colour directly underneath the eyebrow, because we want to make the eyebrow bone look like it protrudes slightly. So by shading directly underneath it, we're sinking the eyes. Next I'm taking this slightly warmer brown. This one is called Frappe, also by Makeup Geek. And again, I'm working that right underneath the brow bone. And then with what's left on the bristles, I'm going to work that over the mobile eyelid. I'm also working those bristles directly over the lash line where we applied the warm reddish shade. Next, I'm taking that same colour underneath the lower lashes. Don't be afraid to really blow the colour out. Don't forget, we're going for quite a deep set looking eye. On a pencil brush, I'm mixing together a small amount of Latte and Bitten, and I'm running that along the lash line. When you look at the reference images, it's almost like he's wearing eyeliner, but it's obviously softer than that. I'm going to enhance the natural socket of the eye, what we refer to as having bags. Again, it's going to help to give us the illusion of sleep deprived looking eyes. Again, I'm going in with Latte and I'm using a pencil brush to do this. Next, I'm going in with a tiny paintbrush and the eyeshadow Charcoal Brown by MAC. And I've mixed in a small amount of Duralime by Inglot, and I'm drawing on the little distinctive lines on the Joker's face, and then using what's left on the bristles to create shading so it looks as though there are natural creases in the brows. I'm using a concealer brush that's been dipped in the foundation, and I'm pressing that over the top of the lines that I create to soften everything, and that way it looks like a shadow. The Joker has distinctive ripples underneath his eyes where his veins are. So I'm using the same painting technique with the eyeshadow to give the illusion that these veins are actually there when they're not. I'm painting on the shadows in the same place as the reference image, and as you can see, it's really effective. It makes the skin look rippled, as if the veins are under there or as if the eyes are slightly creased. and this is the theatrical way of using highlighting and contouring. If you've already seen my Disney Witch tutorial, then you'll know that this is really effective over the entire face to completely reshape it. I'm now going to go in to darken the sockets of the eyes. We don't want a uniformed appearance. I'm sorry I'm in the way. I didn't realise I was that close to the camera. So we want the eyes to look quite grungy. So I'm not being too neat about it. I've mixed in a small amount of black with that latte coloured eyeshadow, and I'm working that onto the mobile eyelid and slightly on the outer edges of the eyes. Using another fluffy blending brush, I'm using the same colour on the temples and also down the sides of the nose. You want this to be quite visible. This is going to make the nose look that much more distinctive and straight and quite sharp. You only want a tiny amount of black mixed in with your latte shade and work it onto the back of your hand before you work it onto the skin. I'm now painting on that J onto the cheek. Again, I'm using some of the black with the brown, and I've used the mixing medium so I'm able to paint it onto the skin so it's more fluid. Next, I'm going to script the word damaged across the forehead. I know you can buy the temporary tattoo packs for the Joker, so if you don't want to sit there and draw them all on like I am, then you can get those for a temporary basis. Obviously, if you hand paint it, it's not going to be exact, but I think it just looks more authentic. So taking some of that black with the mixing medium, I'm going to apply that very close to the lash line and smudge it with my fingers. A lot of the tutorials for the Joker have just black eyeshadow around the eyes, but I personally feel that this method is more authentic to the character. So I'm still going in and just painting some of the more distinctive lines on the Joker's face, and then going over them with my concealer brush that has a little bit of the foundation left in the bristles. What I like about the mixing medium that I'm using is that it makes this waterproof, so you can go out and you know it's not going to smudge. Using the same pencil brush from earlier, I'm adding a small amount of shading around the chin and then the philtrum. I'm now using a slightly yellowy brown shade called Desert Sands by Makeup Geek. It's also a matte finish. And I'm using this to uneven that skin tone to make it look slightly more sallow and make the shapes on the face more prominent. I'm adding some around the nose, around the sockets of the eyes, and also down the smile lines. And I'm also adding some around the forehead and around the brow area. I'm going in just to make that socket around the brows look a little bit heavier, and by adding a small amount of shading just to the very front of them, it gives the face a slightly more angry appearance. Using some black eyeshadow on a small detailer brush, I've rubbed the excess off onto the back of my hand, and I'm going in and just defining around the eyes. It is a work in progress, but it's really worth it because it does make the eyes really grungy and deep set, and it just looks very Joker-esque. On the reference image, you can see that the lips are very uneven and they're mixed in tone. So I'm starting off with this matte red lipstick. I'm being quite rough around the edges, and then I'm using my finger to pat that into the skin. We want that colour to feather out as opposed to being quite defined. It's really important to use a matte finish with this look. Then I'm going in with this lip liner by MAC called Brick, and I'm applying this around the outside areas, and again not being too neat about it, but it's to break up that evenness of colour that we've got going on. Then using a small fan brush and some black eyeshadow, I'm applying that to the very centre of the lips and feathering it out. This is very visible in the reference images. Then I'm going back in with the same brush with the lipstick that's left on the bristles, and I'm patting over all of the colours to dull everything down. For the tattoos, I'm whizzing through this just so you can see the process. I'm going in with a lip liner first to get the shape, and then I'm going in with black paint to define everything. Obviously I can't tell you how to draw or how to paint. I'm simply following the reference image that I've got and generally not being too neat about it, just getting it done because obviously it can be quite time consuming. And then once I completed the tattoos, or most of, that completed my Suicide Squad Joker. Please give the tutorial a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more of Billy or his twin brother Jack, you can click onto my Halloween playlist or you can visit their channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and don't forget you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Snapchat. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!